don't seem to be able to put.
Okay. I'll just put,
yeah, okay.
Yep.
So it's recording now. Do you want me to pause it for now?
I mean, it's 10 o'clock, so you could, it depends on you. We could start it once Don starts the introduction.
Okay, I'll wait for Don to give me the thumbs up. We've got 33.
33, let's start. Let's reward those people who arrived on time, shall we? Right. So we didn't have any pre-prescribed slides today. I think a feature of meetings going forward is going to be that it's going to be a volunteers meeting, so it's going to be driven by the volunteers and the coordinators. So in future weeks, it would be good to get topics that you want to discuss in advance. So
Don, can I just cut in a second? Can you switch your video off because you don't have enough bandwidth for your video and voice?
Oh, okay. Right, that better?
Yeah, much better.
Okay. I'm not going to repeat everything I just said, other than to say that in future it'd be good if people could raise the conversation in advance of the meeting. So today it'll largely be driven by the chat that you put on, questions that you talk about or areas you want to talk about. But just to say, we had a core meeting this morning, even earlier than this one, and three things came out of that principally. One is that we seem to have systems in place that are robust. They may be threatened in the future. Somebody has got some background noise. It'd be good if everybody could mute, or if the technical gurus could mute everybody, that would be better. Yeah, when I said mute everybody, I didn't mean me, but anyway. So three things came out of this morning's meeting principally. One is that we've got pretty robust systems in place, which seem to be working very well. Few people have asked for additional support in certain areas, and we've been able to find that very quickly. So that's good. There will be concerns as and when more and more volunteers go back to work, because the demand is unlikely from vulnerable people is unlikely to diminish. That was the first thing. The second thing was economics. So as and when the furlough system changes, it could well be that we have a different demand within the village from people who all of a sudden have economic circumstances which aren't very nice. So there could be an increase in demand on issues like the food parcels. And the third thing was mental health. We've been quite surprised by the lack of demand for the mental wellbeing service that operates in the village through HI Friends. And we're wondering what people's views might be on that, in terms of is it people not wishing to bother other people? Is it things that are brewing up that might come to the fore after the worst of the lockdown is over? And those were the three topics of conversation that happened this morning in the core meeting. So I said I'd raise all of those at this. But largely, this meeting is over to you. What is it that you would like to talk about? I've got a couple of topics if no one says anything. But if anyone would like to raise a topic they'd like to discuss. Tumbleweed.
So Don, we'll ask them to do it via chat because I've muted all their audios. Do you want me to take them all off mute now?
You're the technical expert. What impact would that have?
They can all shout across each other, so it's better if they put their question and then I'll take them selectively off mute.
Yeah, let's do it on the chat.
So if you have a question, guys, please chat and do the chat to everyone. I'll spot you and I'll take you off mute.
Good. So the first one is, do we have any critical area in the village where more volunteers are needed? Okay, so at the moment, a lot of streets are coping very well because there is very little demand. The ones that are at the other end of the spectrum, where we have been looking for more support and successfully finding it so far, tend to be the areas where the more elderly live. So places like Cahill Way, Homefield, St Audrey's Close. As I understand it at the moment, and please tell me if I'm wrong, we are managing those areas okay, I think it's probably fair to say that they could all do with a little bit more help if it was available. But twice in the last week, someone said, "I need some more help," and we found it for them. So it's working okay at the moment, but it could change in the future.
So if I can just add in there, Don, Homefield Close is incredibly busy. But I was down one volunteer, and within 10 minutes, 3 people came in. George was the one that came in first. So George is on the call. Thank you very much, George, for stepping forward so quickly. We're now back to full 7 volunteers. That's 1 person, 1 day a week, which keeps us all pretty busy. George doesn't know what he's set himself in for, but it's going really well. And most of the volunteers have got relationships with the folk.
I lost you there at the end, John, but I think we got the gist of it. So if you or any other area are coping, which what that sounds like, but could cope easier if you had more volunteers, please don't be afraid to shout out. So if for example, if anyone is in the Homefield area and has more volunteer support than there is demand, please reach out to John Gooch, and I'm sure that he'll be able to use you or your volunteers. I don't know if Nikki wants to say anything about St Audrey's. Are you coping okay over there? Nikki doesn't want to say anything. No, she does. Are you coping okay, Nikki? You need more help?
You're unmuted now, Nikki, so you can talk.
She thumbs upped the old-fashioned.
So I did do the old-fashioned thumbs up. So our volunteer rota has had to change several times out of necessity. We've patched and repaired very amiably, got on with it well. We are fortunate that Park Lane volunteers can help us out there. The Rainbow residents are demanding very little of us. They are loving to see our waves and smiles. Some of us go and knock on the doors of particular ones just to check they're all right. There aren't even any shopping or go to the post or prescription requirements. They seem to have settled into a good routine with their own existing care packages. That's not to say that we're ignoring them. I think it's valuable that we continue to walk the streets and show them that we are there. It may well be that the volunteers are more needed for the rest of the road. It's evident that cars are not on driveways or curbsides as much now. People are enjoying their increased government guidance freedom. Grandchildren have appeared on pathways, waving through windows, saying hello to grandparents. Many grandparents are still missing their extended family, but it doesn't seem to be brittle there. It seems to be resolute and cheerfully progressing forwards. We may be misreading it, but for the moment, all seems good. I'm interested to hear that Homefield is very busy in comparison. So that's.
Thank you, Nikki.
And Don, you've got a question from Ren. I've taken off mute and her microphone's on.
Yeah, this was one of my pre-prepared ones I had anyway. So I'd like to introduce you to Ren Stedman, who is part of the HI Friends team. And Ren would like to talk to you about the Mothers Circle that we've just started. Ren, take it away.
Okay, good morning, everyone. So I just started a in-person postnatal group just before lockdown because I was getting the impression that there were quite a lot of new mums who didn't have the support they needed. And so it was really frustrating that lockdown happened after we'd had just 2 sessions. But we've just started a group online. So we're inviting anyone who's had a baby in the last 2 years to come along. And I'm running the group with my friend Laura, and we're doing it under the HI Friends banner. And the goal is just to give women a chance to talk about how it's all going, and hopefully make friendships with each other that can then carry on post-lockdown, and give them the community that they need.
I'm going to get a question in a minute, the best way.
Go on, carry on.
But we feel that there's a need, and it's kind of relates to what you said at the beginning, Don, that it's just feeling quite hard to reach those mothers and to know what would be most helpful for them. So we would love your help in kind of advertising the group to anyone that you think might need it, and also would welcome any feedback about anything else that we could be doing. You know, if you know new mothers who are struggling and feeling isolated, we're happy to kind of offer whatever they need, whatever would be helpful. It's just about figuring out what that is, what that would look like.
Thanks very much, Ren. I think there's a theme here which is letting people know what is available and trying to generate demand. I say generate demand. The demand must be there. It's trying to become aware of the demand. So thanks for that, Ren.
Can I just ask? I know that our team, the mental wellbeing team from HI Friends, were meant to appear on those cards that were supposed to go to everybody's house, but personally we never got one at our house on Saffron Road. I just wondered whether those cards did get distributed to most of the village.
So that was lucky. That's the card in question. Remember that the sort of a turquoisey bordered one, which listed the contact details for the mental health worker, the older people's worker, the dementia worker. Were you on that one, Red? Yeah, you were. Yeah, the postnatal, and Peter from the Hope Again bereavement group. Does everyone recognise that card?
It didn't come to Rosalie, Don.
Okay. So the next question, one of the next questions was about somebody. Stephanie Clark wasn't aware of the group. Could this be more widely advertised? So that should have gone to every house. The issue again is the one that Ren just raised, which is how do we advertise these things and get them so that people are more aware? You know, there must be a need. So how do we advertise it? If Stephanie didn't know about it, Ren didn't get a card, and John didn't get a card, we need to do something else.
So I think what the answer is, there's 3 big groups in the village on Facebook, which most of the village are on or know people on. Put the card up as a poster on Hi Friends, Hi People, and Hi Volunteering.
Yeah, all of which was done, but needs to be done again.
Yep.
The issue, particularly with regard to the older people's worker, is that the audience is not on Facebook, but that's something we'll have to address. So, okay, that's a clear message.
And I think my audience might not be either, because I know personally that that's when you've just had a baby, it's a time when people often turn Facebook off because you realise that it's actually making you feel worse than you were.
Yeah.
Okay, there was a question from Muriel. I'll unmute her.
Right, yep.
Okay. Oh, yeah. First of all, apologies that I interrupted during the last conversation, but I thought I was still muted. I just put up a thing that my husband, who is an ordained Buddhist and teaches meditation and runs meditation classes, is quite willing to offer meditation if anyone in the village wants it, and if you feel that's helpful for mental well-being as well. I think I was asked the best way to contact him, so I will put his email address onto the notes if that's helpful.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Yep, excellent. Yep. And then anyone can contact him personally and ask, and then we can decide whether it needs to be advertised on the HI page or not.
And again, it's where is there a need and where is it? That's the issue that we keep coming up against. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
So Stephanie's comment about wasn't aware of the mental health support group, that we've covered that. I think we haven't solved it, but we've mentioned it.
So Nicola Wadge had a question for you. Wedge, sorry, had a question for you, Don.
Where are you?
Hi, Nikki here. I was just wondering if the local midwifery team is aware of the group. That would be a good point of sort of advertising.
That was for Ren. I'm sure they are.
Okay.
I think Neil was contacting them about it. Is that right, Neil?
Is Neil on the call?
I think Neil's muted.
You need to unmute yourself, Neil.
Yeah, I an email was sent to the practice manager last week. But Nikki, I mean, if you could send me an email, then with a contact, then we can send details to.
Okay, great. Yes,
that'd be really helpful.
Okay, no
Thank
problem.
you.
So most of the other messages are just about the fact that leaflet's done. The rest are commenting that things have gone through Facebook pages or things.
Right. Bit concerned that these cards didn't go out. We might have to do another posting of those. We thought they'd gone to every house, but clearly they haven't.
There's been a suggestion they get sent to the street coordinators, and they can organise taking them around when their people do their rounds.
Yeah, we could think about that. At one stage we were telling street coordinators not to go round to post stuff in people's houses because it was an infection risk. I'll have to see whether or not that view has changed. Not everybody, not every street coordinator visits every house every day like you do, John. Right, have we got anything new in there? I'm just scanning through the chat.
No, it's all about the cards, I can see.
All about the cards. Okay.
Are there any other different things you'd like to raise? Anyone, please? And there's people agreeing they think the street coordinator should be responsible for delivering the cards by their volunteers.
One upon said it was inside a pizza flyer, so he threw it away.
I mean, I'm having to go out today, Don, to deliver to the vulnerable, not everybody in Homefield, because we've changed one of our coordinators have had to print off a whole load of flyers. So again, if there were any of those leaflets, it's just a non-issue for us to take them round. So just get them
I think there's going to be a publication hopefully coming out from the council in the next week, and that will have the details on it, won't it, John?
I can't remember whether Ren was on it or not.
No.
I've seen a draft. I don't think it was on it.
Can we let Dennis know quickly?
Dennis is on the call.
Dennis is on the call. The document is that the thing is currently actually full. So I'm going to have to get some feedback from you, Don, and everybody else who is part of the core team as to what to cut and what to include.
Could we just not include the leaflet in the parish magazine, so it just goes inside it?
At the moment, we're hoping again to use the post office to deliver it. And from the number of people who aren't getting it, then that's an interesting question. And yes, it might be sensible to run the card and deliver it, but I'll hand back to Don on that one.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. So I mean, Neil, we could get another whole thousands of cards run off, and
I think it may be better to produce an updated card, perhaps with information about. I know that there's an online sort of fitness, and perhaps just include more general information of what's available, perhaps in the next couple of months or so, so that it can be more of a more general information about High Friends activities, particularly pertaining to this COVID-19 support, perhaps.
Yeah, and I think we need to pay some attention to making it look less like a pizza flyer, so it doesn't get pinned with all the rest.
Well, I think the thing to do would be to have it delivered separately, perhaps, so that you've got maximum impact, and it's not confused with any other marketing material.
Okay. Right. What have we got on the chat then, John? Anything new?
I think it's just the same thing. Make aware. I'm not relying on the post office. I do agree. I don't know if other people have the same experience. So I've now lost 2 parcels with the post office. They are completely overstretched. So personally, I'd rather give out the church magazine or the village magazine and the things to my community in Homefield. I'm not sure how other street coordinators feel, but we have to walk the patch. So why don't we do the same thing at the same time?
Okay. Well, there seems to be a consensus of well, the people that are expressing their views seem to be happy to deliver.
Can we have a thumbs up or thumbs down using the on your if you go to participant, thumbs up or thumbs down, so we can just gauge it, please. Ed, I see you've got a question as well.
No, I was just raised my hand for agreeing.
So it's, most people are doing thumbs up, Don.
Okay, that's good news. All right. Okay, because
some people put hands up, which I guess is a thumbs up.
Right. Yeah, so Dennis is currently looking into the possibility of the post office delivering it, but if the general consensus is that it would be better coming from the street coordinators, then maybe we should go with that.
And I think a good chance, and someone's made a comment on the chat, that if you gave us the village magazines and the leaflets, we could knock on the door and just say, is all well, which I do about once every 3 weeks, not just relying on the okay and question mark. And it's interesting, I got a really lovely comment from a lady. She didn't join the scheme, but she does want some help.
Well, the thing that we've been saying since day one is there's no one size fits all.
Yeah.
You know, what works in Homefield might not work somewhere else. So I think we'd leave it up to the street coordinators how much knocking on doors they want to do.
Okay. If
the coordinators are happy to do the delivery, then that sounds like a good solution to me. So, right. I've now fallen behind on the chat because I've been talking. So
it's pretty much the same stuff, Don.
Okay, so let me talk then about last week's meeting. If you remember, last week's meeting was 2 days after Boris's slight relaxation of the lockdown rules, and the chat was very much dominated by that. There was a huge amount of talk, probably 50% of the meeting was taken up with face coverings and face masks. And note there's been no chat about that at all today. Do we think that the demand for face coverings will exceed the supply available in the village? And if so, do we think we should be, well, let's start with that. Do we think the demand is going to increase so that supply is outstripped? Anyone got any views on that?
Well, they're readily available on Amazon now, Don, which they hadn't been for some weeks, but they are now.
Yeah, all my suppliers have got them and actively promoting them in every email they send me today.
It seems to me that at the moment the supply exceeds the demand, because the guidance was that you don't need to wear them when you're out and about, but if you're in a position where you can't socially distance, like a small shop or a bus, then you need to be wearing one. I'm not aware that advice has changed, and therefore I'm not sure I'm not aware there's a huge demand. So we're trying to anticipate what might happen if the advice changes. Is really where we're going with this. But if people are not raising it as an issue, maybe everyone's happy with the current situation. Which is good. Right then, any more questions? Because if not, it could be a very short meeting.
No, it's just the last two chats are confirmation of Darmanata's email address, and there's a place of making your own face masks.
Yeah, we thought we might put something on Hi Hub or Hi People with links to how to make face masks. Sorry, not face masks, face coverings. Slap my wrists. Face coverings. Oh, Lizette says she's got some co-op news to share. Shall we let her do that? Do you want to unmute yourself, Lizette? Hi.
Hi, is that working?
Yeah.
The co-op have introduced a new system where you can buy what they're calling a gift card and give it to the volunteer who is purchasing your shopping for you, and so you can buy it over the phone, give it to your and it'll be posted to you, and then you can give it to your volunteer who's doing your shopping for you, and that way they can pay for your shopping without any money changing hands or anything like that. So the volunteer can keep hold of the card and use it to pay for your shopping. And The only thing is you need to be a member, a co-op member, in order to do that. But it's very easy to sign up as a co-op member. And I would recommend everybody sign up as a co-op member if you shop at the co-op.
So this is something that the resident themselves has to do rather than the volunteer doing it.
So the resident would have to, so first of all, they would have to sign up as a member of the co-op if they're not already a member of the co-op, which they can do over the phone or online. And then they can purchase the gift card themselves. And what I can do is I can post that there's a little bit of information about it online, so I can post that. I'll post it on Facebook, and I can send it to you, John.
Yeah, send it to me, and I'm doing a weekly briefing, a weekly update of this meeting for those who can't attend, including hopefully the recording. I see it is recording this week.
Yeah, it is recording.
I can include such details in there, and I can include details of the people who have spoken and need to be have their contact details posted. So I'll put that in the weekly briefing.
Yeah.
Aldi run a similar scheme as well. I'm not sure of any other.
Other supermarkets are available, yes.
But I know Aldi do a similar scheme, and I haven't heard of Tesco's doing it.
Morag's just asked a good question about it at the bottom.
Will they need to have online banking in order to pay?
So I don't think so. I think that they can do it as long as they have set up phone banking. I think they can do it, but it's all a bit brand new and I haven't had time to look into it in a huge amount of detail yet. But I think that as long as they've got telephone banking, they'll be fine. And I know that the banks are trying to do a lot more by phone for people who are struggling to do online banking. So I think it should be done, it should be that way. But for people who don't have a bank account, obviously it's not going to work at all. Okay. People who only use cash, that's very difficult still.
Yep. There's a question from Stephen Hunt. Don?
Hi. Yeah, I just wanted to comment more than a question that I've noticed in the last week, more intensive use of the busway track. And I realise obviously not all those people are from the villages, but nevertheless, there seems to be a breakdown in discipline about social distancing there. I was reading something the other day, I'm afraid I haven't got the link to hand, that when people are running or cycling, you need to be further away because of the depth of inhalation and exhalation. And people are walking line abreast, or passing on a bike with only a metre away and this type of thing. I just wondered maybe we could issue some kind of reminder to people. Use it because it's great. It should be a place because it's nice and wide where there's plenty of separation, but only if people use it in a disciplined way. Maybe we could find some way to communicate that. I mean, I might put a personal comment on High People about it, but perhaps we could find some other way to communicate it too.
As you say, a lot of the cyclists have come from a long way away.
Yeah, indeed, and clearly it's but maybe if we got contacts with, I don't know, groups in other places, Long Stanton or wherever they're coming from, then we could ask them to put the message out too.
Thanks for that, Steve. What else have we got on the chat? Anything new, John?
That's Stolen Strongbox.
Rachel said that was concerned about if we get involved in the business of mask supply, then we're responsible for the quantity and quality of them, and I agree with that. But possibly somewhere we don't want to go.
Agreed.
Someone stole my Strongbox.
I'll give him.
This is from the pallet. This is from the pallet, is it, Ian?
I've asked him to start his video.
And his microphone would be good too. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, Gabby. No, I'll put it out there because it.
Can't hear you very well, Ian.
I reckon it's probably because I've muted it earlier or turned it down. No, I've just they've been there for 6 weeks, and It doesn't matter. It was only a box. We just hope there wasn't any food in there. It's just protecting it from the elements and the wildlife if people put food in there over the night.
Yeah.
I've mentioned it to Nick Wood. He knows about it, and I think he mentioned it to other people as well, because he picks up the food from Ethelred across the road from it.
Yeah.
But it's no problem. I mean, it's only a box. It's just an idea.
Thanks, Ian. There are some undesirable people about. We're aware of.
It's clearly stated, you know, that it's a collection point, and then put food in the box. And I don't know. I hope they can live with themselves. Actually.
Exactly.
Unfortunate. Sorry about that. Anyway, didn't mean to be depressive.
Thank you. There's a lot of interference on your line, so if you'd like to mute yourself again, that would be great. Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you very much. Yeah, there are some undesirable people about still, as witnessed by the couple of scams that we've had, in addition to just plain theft. Anything new on the chat then, John?
Not that I can see. Ed, can you see anything I've missed? No.
No.
If we've missed anything, people might want to unmute themselves and talk about it.
I'll unmute all.
Okay. Right. So,
just to add something, please, Don.
Yes, you may.
So we've got Vanessa Kelly in the village in Impington, who is the cycling officer. She was responsible for the respect signs that were originally attached to the ground on the busway. It may well be important to update those social distancing messages. So I will get in touch with her and see what she can do for us.
Thank you. Right, well, if there's no other business, everybody, I suggest you get on with your homeschooling and errands and whatever else you have to do today. So, as I say, for future meetings, it would be really good if people could let us know in advance any topics that they'd like to bring up, and we can then put them on the agenda, and if need be, do some preparation in terms of what the response should be. Other than that, thank you very much.
Thanks, Don. I'll stop recording now.